I spent so much of this past week thinking about the bread of life. This Gospel of John always frustrates me a little bit. It always feels so densely woven that it is hard sometimes for me to pull it apart and find what I am looking for. Particularly this week, as the pandemic is breaking back into a fragile and tender new world that we just started rebuilding. How do we live in this exhausting moment? How do we live in this horizonless time? This lack of a future is exhausting. I have just started planning again and dreaming again. A few little trips to go and see friends, a few little things. And now I am back to shifting and questioning and doubting. How do we live in another endless moment without a clear future? And John was not giving me what I wanted. I want answers. I want clarity. And the Gospel of John is the worst place to look for it. But then I went and read the reading again from Ephesians, and I was so soothed. Paul has this beautiful, long, very particular list and clear answers about exactly what we are supposed to be doing. It feels simple and soothing. It is okay to be angry, says Paul, but do not sin. If you are a thief, stop. Work honestly, put away all bitterness. That's a little harder. Be kind to one another, be tenderhearted, be forgiving. And then I start to find that I do not like clear instructions as much as I thought I would. Paul tells these Ephesians and whoever else is reading the letter to be imitators of God, to be imitators of love, to be imitators of Christ, to let this absolutely immeasurable, enormous love of God live in and through us. And that feels hard too. It is hard to preach sermons about the bread of life when we will not be gathering in just a moment after the sermon to break bread together at this altar. I just did it a few minutes ago over in the East Garden with some kids telling stories, sitting on the ground and coming around a little folding table, and it was beautiful. The practice of communion is so deeply important, and I think in part because it is practice seeing astounding grace in ordinary things. It is practice letting our everyday lives be broken open in mystery and grace and wonder. We are called to imitate Christ. We are called to be like the one who is like the bread. And I am still not entirely sure what that means. It is hard to imagine being bread when we are so hungry. And it is hard to imagine being bread when we are hungry for different things. Some of us right now are hungering for everybody to just follow the rules. Some of us are hungering for this kindness and this tenderness that Paul speaks of. Some people are hungering deeply for connection and intimacy and touch. Some people are hungering for pounding loud music and a bass beat that you feel in your own ribs. Some people are hungering for solitude and to be out of a house that was never meant to hold so many for so long. Some people are hungering for kindness and a little bit of rationality in public conversations. Some people are hungering to figure out the right answer, but the information keeps slipping and shifting underneath us. Some of us are absolutely starving for safety, for ourselves, for our children, and for our elders. And some of us are hungering from freedom from all the rules. Some of us are hungering so deeply to not calculate or plan, but to simply run out into the world with joy and abandon. And all of we who are hungering are somehow called to love and become like the one who is bread. We who are hungry for so many things, it feels like we are being ground down, like we ourselves are being mixed up and leavened, kneaded hard and thrown into the fire. Because it turns out that that's really the only difference between little individual grains of wheat and good, life-giving, God-given bread. And so my simple prayer this week becomes that may everything that grinds us down, may everything that fills our hearts and minds, may everything that mixes us up, may everything that feels like heat and pressure, may everything that feels like too much simply make us bread. Amen.